All right, hello and welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, we know the important number 270 electoral votes are what's needed to win the presidency. And so I'm glad to have a guest here to help me talk about this particular topic. I have Eric Daugherty. He's an assistant news director at Florida's Voice. And he's been putting out some pretty cool stuff on X. I want you guys to follow him on X at Eric L. Daugh, D-A-U-G-H, at Eric L. Daugh, Daugh. You can find him on X, and he talks about politics. He's young, and it's what we need in the conservative movement. Youngsters, it gives me such courage, honestly, to see young men like this getting into politics, fighting for their country. Eric Daugherty, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, man.
Hey, man, appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Okay, so Eric, I was just reading through your X. I hate calling it X. I'm gonna just have to call it Twitter. I hope you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
X just doesn't do it. I'm sorry, Elon. I love you, man, but X just doesn't do it for me. All right, so early voting update. You posted this. This was approximately 11 hours ago. Republicans hold outright leads in 3 Sun Belt battlegrounds. We have party registration for and Pennsylvania. There's significantly more Republicans that have been voting in these particular states. Now, before you comment on this, Eric, let me ask a question that I know a lot of conservatives are going to be asking. Early voting numbers are very impressive right now for Republicans. Are you concerned about election day voting? Like, are we getting all the votes that we're going to get?
Yeah, so that's definitely been a concern, and the term, it's called cannibalization.
Okay.
So it's the idea that basically you have all these election day voters who only voted on election day in 2020 and 2022, and the fear is, and obviously the hope for Democrats, is that most of this, the majority of this, is just fueled by people who would vote anyway, who all of a sudden decided, hey, I'm going to vote by mail or I'm going to vote early today. So that's one theory. Now, we do have some data, and what that data shows is that this is actually more Republicans kind of just voting the way they did in 2022 and 2020.
Okay.
So it's less of a GOP surge, but more of Democrats just staying home. Republicans hold a lead across the Sunbelt states. That's Nevada, Arizona, North Carolina. They hold a good lead with low propensity voters, and what that means is Democrats are burning through their partisans. So if you ask me, I'm not too concerned about Republicans losing out on election day at this point.
Okay, now you bring up some great points. Democrats are concerned about burning through their base voters. So obviously Kamala Harris is out to get the base, and this is why Trump is a Nazi and all that. All of the people that are hardcore leftists, that are hardcore Democrats, that can't stand Trump, are going to vote for him no matter what, or going to vote against him no matter what. They have those people, but Kamala Harris can't. Seemingly, she's not doing great with the people that are the so-called undecideds. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so that's kind of hard to measure, if someone's doing well with undecided. And the reason for that is the polls just list them as undecided. So it's more of a statistical noise thing to tell who's doing better with undecideds. And we're just going to have to wait till the votes are actually counted on election night to see where all these independents are going. But there is one interesting, fact when you look at turnout, and that's that usually when turnout for one party is suppressed. Now think about this. If Democrats are voting less, what that tells you is left-leaning independents are probably also voting less. Now, that's not 100%, but that's kind of how these elections go. If one party is supercharged in an election, normally the independents who agree with that party more are also supercharged, and the reverse can be the same for the Democrats, where the left-leaning independents might not be coming out as much. So again, if you had to ask me, because of what we're seeing with the turnout, those undecideds we're talking about, those independents, if they're not 50-50, I think they lean Trump a little bit right now.
Okay, now talk to us about the Sun Belt states. You're talking about Trump is basically, as far as voting is concerned, he's doing very well in the Sun Belt states. Talk to us about that, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Kamala Harris, and correct me if I'm wrong, again, I'm speaking to my guest, Eric Daugherty. He's the assistant news director at Florida's Voice. He's also a poll analyst, so you can check him out on X here. But correct me if I'm wrong here, Eric. But uh, Kamala Harris, if I recall, was making a play for the Sun Belt states to the neglect of some Pennsylvania, for instance, Michigan, Wisconsin, which now she doesn't seem to be doing too well in. But initially, I think that was her play. She wanted to do something, I guess, untraditional, go after the Sun Belt states. Does that ring a bell? Is that correct?
Yeah, so initially there were reports that the Harris campaign was worried, and honestly, commonsensically worried, because you would think these Sunbelt states, they have more minorities in them, Hispanics, and Georgia has a large black population. And I mean, you are correct that they were eyeing a Sunbelt sweep, and that way, if Trump could take he could take Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. I don't remember the exact math on it, but that was the goal: is to take the entire Sunbelt, take advantage of her strength, or what they thought was her strength with minority voters. But that is, at this point, that is a weeks old notion from the Harris campaign. I think that it quickly fizzled out. Now, is it possible that come election day, Trump does better in the Rust Belt than the Sun Belt? I don't think so. But common sense would tell you that you have the Scranton Joe facade, Joe Biden, white working class facade. You would think that he would do better in Pennsylvania than Kamala Harris in the North,
Yeah.
which has a higher white population. So that was an idea. I don't think so anymore.
Yeah, honestly, I at least I'm hoping, I'm hopeful, but I believe that Trump is going to win this thing, and I think that Democrats are going to regret going with Kamala Harris over Joe Biden. I mean, it's just my opinion, obviously, but even though he's a dementia patient, I think he would have done better in some of these places that she needed in the that she needs to win in the Rust Belt, at least for the sake of salvaging Senate seats and House seats and what have you. All right, so you talked about, I'm looking at your Substack right now, ericdaugherty.substack.com, ericdaugherty.substack.com. Pivotal to former President Donald Trump's pathway to 270 electoral votes is Arizona, which has 11 in 2020. Winning Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin would have given Trump 269 electoral votes, you right, resulting in a perilous electoral college tie that went to the House delegations. Now, Trump can swipe Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, and Wisconsin to break 270 electoral votes. He would not technically even need Pennsylvania or Michigan. That's huge. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so this is kind of the whole mathematical pathway to 270 thing. If Trump can win North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Wisconsin, that's 272 right there. So he could do that. If you believe that Trump is weaker in Pennsylvania and Michigan, you could say, well, theoretically, he only needs Wisconsin, and because of the early voting data, you might think that Trump is better suited in the Sun Belt. The other pathway, and this is the quickest pathway for all of us who don't want to wait days for the election results, is Georgia, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. That's 270 right there. They're all East Coast states. If they can get their act together counting, if Trump is outperforming in Pennsylvania, that's 270. So he has multiple pathways. Wisconsin is traditionally thought to be more Republican friendly, but it pulls to the left of places like Pennsylvania. So the jury's still out on how that's going to unfold. But Kamala Harris has to either do really well in the Sun Belt, and if that doesn't happen, she has to win all three of those Rust Belt states. So for her, it's just mathematically harder. It's mathematically easier for Trump.
When you say Rust Belt states, we're talking Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. Now, I saw this, which was very interesting to me. CNN put out a poll earlier on Twitter, and they were reminding people that in 2020, Biden was up in Arizona by 24 points, I guess, at this point in time, whereas Harris is up 18 points, if I'm reading this correctly. In Nevada, Biden was up 26 points. Harris is up to date 1 point in Nevada. So that bodes well for Trump, even though there's still obviously a deficit in Arizona. He's obviously doing better than he was in 2020, and he tends to underpoll, or fewer people will answer polling when it comes to I'll be honest with you. I finally got some, and I didn't answer, and I suspect there's a lot of people like me, Eric.
There definitely are.
All right. So that's it just interesting to me. So all right. So again, we're speaking to Eric Daugherty. He's assistant news director at Florida's Voice. Listen, you seem to be obviously you're a data guy, Eric. But do you have any predictions of your own leading up to November 5th?
Well, you know what? I mean, I'm predicting Trump's winning. And because these elections normally break one way, my prediction is 312 for Trump. And that is simply just him winning every battleground state.
Wow.
That's kind of just how these things go. You remember 2020. Biden won, however you want to say he won. He won the election with Georgia, and that was the state he took. No one thought he could do it. And with Trump, I think he's going to take Nevada. And then in the end, if he wins Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, I think he takes Michigan with him. So that's 312.
Wow. All right. From your mouth to God's ears, Eric Daugherty, Florida's Voice. Thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Hey guys, Carl Jackson here for My Pillow. A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving My Pillow with a ton of extra My Pillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you can get a standard classic My Pillow for wholesale prices. So it's just for $14.88, but it gets even better. For a limited time, they're offering their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. You can get queen size My Pillows for as low as $18.88. Upgrade to a king for just $1 more. You can get the body pillows for $29.88 and the multi-use My Pillows for just $9.88. Go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L, I don't spell it like the communist, or call 800-858-0263 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever. That is insane. On top of that, receive free shipping on orders that are over $75. They have never been offered this low before. There are limited quantities at this price, so the limit is 10 items per person. Go to mypillow.com or call 800-858-0263. Don't forget to use the promo code Carl to get the standard My Pillow for only $14.88. Again, the lowest price ever.